Tesla might have been the first car maker to make electric cars cool, but the old school manufacturers have been playing one hell of a game of catch up. And so consider this sleek thing you see before me, the old world's first salvo in their war against that Silicon Valley upstart. This is the Jaguar I-Pace, a car the brand promises isn't just zero emissions, but is zero compromise too. And to prove it, they're going to let us loose on public roads, off-road hill climbs, and even here at a genuine racetrack. So does this have the X factor to give Tesla a run for its money? Like the rest of the Jaguar range, we can expect a three-strong regular lineup, the S, SE and HSE, as well as a feature-packed first edition when the I-Pace arrives in Australia in October. Pricing will span about $119,000 for the entry-level S, up to about $160,000 for the first edition, and all are pretty well equipped, with comfortable and cosseting interiors, alloy wheels, LED headlights, and Jaguar's new flight deck infotainment design. Crucially, the I-Pace will be the first Jaguar to offer true smartphone integration with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto promised before cars hit Aussie dealerships. There'll be some clever new tech on show here too, like a Bluetooth-enabled key that tells the car who is approaching, and so your seat, steering wheel and stereo settings can be pre-prepared. An app that will tell you how much battery you have left or how long you have to wait for your car to finish charging, and an AI-enabled assistant that can even learn your habits and remind you of things you might have forgotten. Like if you always call home at 3 p.m, for example, and one day you forget, the I-Pace can remind you. The I-Pace also debuts Jaguar's new flight deck dash architecture. With its big screen and its digital interface, it houses all the gizmos and gadgets you expect to find in an EV car these days. But I guess the most important thing in here is it all feels really well put together. The materials and touch points are all lovely, it's modern without feeling weird, and you really don't pay a penalty for opting for an EV car. The I-Pace is powered by a pair of electric motors, one at each axle, partnered with a single-speed transmission. Together, they provide 294 kilowatts and 696 newton meters, which is plenty, and they help push the I-Pace to 100 kilometers an hour in a very brisk-feeling 4.8 seconds. Top speed, however, is a less impressive 200 kilometers an hour. You get a claimed 480 kilometers in range, and charging takes about 13 hours on regular power. But should you have access to a fast charger, and there will be more and more of them in years to come, you can get an 80% charge in just 10 minutes. So the first thing that really grabs you about the drive experience in this car is this kind of staggering normality of it all. We've done plenty of slow speed stuff today, tootling around towns and villages, and provided you're a little bit gentle with the super sensitive throttle, it does it all in this calm, comfortable, and utterly normal fashion, just like any other car would. The ride on these massive 22-inch alloys is actually pretty good, and the cabin, unsurprisingly, is pretty quiet. It's so quiet, in fact, you can actually dial up how much car noise you want in here, just in case the silence starts to creep you out. I guess the overall point is that in everyday driving, it's no more or less capable or comfortable than a conventional SUV, but this Jaguar does have a dark side. One of the really cool things about electrification is the new and utterly different levels of performance that it unlocks, and this I-Pace makes full use of it. Now the actual numbers aren't that outrageous, especially in the EV world, but it's the way the power's delivered that'll put such a big smile on your face. If you so much as breathe on the accelerator, all the torque arrives in this crowding rush and you genuinely leap out the other side of the corner. It's really quite incredible. It's weird, yeah, sure, but definitely good weird. Now it is heavy, of course, and even an all-aluminium architecture can't completely hide the extra 600 kilograms in battery weight, but they're mounted low, of course, and they are distributed evenly across the floor plan. So all that weight is then even, so much so, in fact, that Jaguar claims a perfect 50-50 weight distribution for this car. Still, it does feel heavy, and in the slower corners, it feels as though the weight's kind of following you into corners. It does take a little bit of getting used to. Engaging dynamic mode, of course, firms up the adaptive suspension, adds weight to the steering, makes the throttle more responsive, and this clever torque vectoring system mostly helps to ward off understeer too. In fact, if you get really silly with the acceleration, you can actually feel it wiggling a little bit through its bottom. It's really quite fun. The point is, it really does feel like a strong, if a little different, performance proposition, and even though that's not the key purpose of the car, that's got to add a little bit of spice to the selling proposition, doesn't it? And it doesn't even need a ludicrous mode to do it. Jaguar clearly really believes in an all-electric future, and if that means more cars like the I-Pace, then that's something we can be pretty excited about.